So hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm gonna tell y'all my crazy labor and delivery story, right? Hold on. Okay. So I'm gonna start off by saying that my labor and delivery was just so unplanned. Like I was getting induced, but it wasn't on the day that they said, pretty much. Okay. So I go in for a regular oh, okay. I go in for a regular checkup because I was getting the ultrasound just for them to monitor the baby, the movements and stuff and the kicks. I forget what they call it, but it's like every week on a Tuesday I had to get the ultrasounds and the stress test. I had to get the stress test, and that was going pretty well because I was considered high risk pregnancy because I had gestational hypertension, which I really didn't because whenever I went to the doctor, I was just so nervous. Like my anxiety would just peak for no reason. They gave me like this blood pressure monitor to do at home, and it's fine. Hold on, let me go get it. Okay, so they gave me this blood pressure monitor. How can you see it? To do at home, right? And whenever I did it at home, it was fine. It was like, 114 over what, 67, sometimes 70, sometimes 80, 119. It never rose above really 120 over 80. It never went that far. But whenever I get to the hospital, right, I get so nervous, like, oh my God, that it spikes. It goes as high as like 147 over 80, or one time it was 153 over 93. I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, why am I so nervous? And they was like, oh, it could be just the white coat, white jacket syndrome. I'm like, I hope so, because I don't think I have high blood pressure, because at home it's regular. Here I'm nervous, so of course it's gonna be high. So yeah, back to the story. So then so I went in for my regular doctor's appointment, basically for the stress test and the ultrasound, so they can check to see if everything is good, up until the time that I get induced, because again I was considered high risk. Next, so I went in that what was it? Oh, like I said, every Tuesday. So I went in that Tuesday for my doctor's appointment, and on that day I did not leave until I gave birth, because I went in, the baby, she was moving fine, the kicks was like up to par, but when they did the ultrasound, they noticed that her fluids was low. So I'm like, dang, is that bad? Then they, oh no, we're just gonna ask the doctor and then they'll let us know. So I'm like, okay. So I'm just hoping, like, please, I don't want to have my baby. I won't have my baby in June on my anniversary and stuff like that. But of course that didn't happen, and they ended up admitting me okay, into the hospital. So yeah, and then it was like, okay, when we test you to see do you have any leakage or anything, if you're fine, you get to go home. If not, you gotta stay here. So they tested me or whatever, but I didn't have any leakage. My bag didn't rupture, it didn't do anything, but they still decided to keep me. So I'm like, I was like kind of nervous. I'm like, dang, it's really time. Like, we ain't had no diaper bag. We ain't have our apartment because we was in the middle of moving out of our apartment. We didn't have anything. Like, my husband, he literally had to like get everything moving quickly than what we expected, just so we can be good by the time we get out the hospital. So they was like, yeah, Mrs. Banks, we're gonna keep you. We decided to keep you. I'm like, fuck. And then so yeah, they decided to keep me or whatever, and they They kept me for, I got admitted, it was like around 2, 3 o'clock. They admitted me into the hospital. So I'm just in the bed chilling. I had to change to my nightgown and all that. And then the next day, they started the induction. Oh my God. So yeah, they started the induction, and it was like chaotic because they checked me to see was I dilating, and or if I dilated, and I haven't. And when they check you, that stuff hurts so bad. I'm like, no, what is y'all doing to me? Like this, it just hurted so bad. They putting the IVs in, the IV hurt. I'm like, oh, like everything was just hurting. And then I'm like, fuck, like, I'm like, so whatever they did after they checked me in the IVs, I asked, like, do this hurt? Is this gonna hurt? Is it gonna be painful? So I can like brace myself, because so much was just happening at one time. I'm like, I can't concentrate. I'm scared. They freaked me out. But I mean, I ain't let that show. I was scared. I'm like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? But of course, I ain't let that show. And then, so, shit. So, and then I didn't dilate not 1 centimeter. Well, I think it was half a centimeter. I don't know. But it wasn't a lot. So it's like, okay, we got the Pitocin going on. You know, you got your Pitocin. So we just going to put the balloon inside of you. I'm like, okay. And I was still kind of weirded out. I'm like, a balloon? Like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay, just do what y'all need to do. They inserted it. It didn't hurt. So I was happy about that. Like, everything that I'm finna tell you, it didn't hurt at all. I thought it was gonna hurt, but it didn't hurt. So, they put the balloon inside of me, and yeah, it didn't hurt. And then they was like, yeah, when this balloon falls out by itself, or if we tug on it and it just comes out, that means you're 5 centimeters dilated. So I'm like, okay, bro. It took me, I think, a day and a half just to dilate to 5 centimeters. Like, my body literally wasn't ready for that shit. Like, it wasn't ready for me to like give birth, of course, but it took so, I was in a hospital so long. I think I was in labor for like 3 days and a half. Yeah, going through all that stuff, 3 days and a half. Okay, so put the balloon into me. The balloon ended up coming out. So it was like, okay, good, you're 5 centimeters. Yay. You know, they got the Pitocin in me. And the Pitocin, it wasn't really working that well. So they kept bumping it up, bumping it up, bumping it up. And it reached, they had it at the level to where it was on the highest that they could give me. So they put me on the oxytocin, something like that, oxytocin, whatever. They put me on that as well, and that wasn't working either. And then, but I was feeling contractions, right? I was feeling the contractions, and surprisingly, the contractions hurted, but it wasn't like, you know, pain. It wasn't super painful to me. I guess the pain that it reached, like just dilating to 5 centimeters, it was like a 3. The pain level was like a 3, 4. So yeah, wait, I'm getting dark. Hold on, everything. Okay, but yeah, it was like a 3, 4, and yeah, it wasn't that bad. But it was like before they took me off the Pitocin and oxytocin or whatever, the contractions, it did reach to like a let me see. It reached like a 5.5, 6 maybe. But it's like I can still take it. It wasn't like super painful to me. And then the doctors and the nurses, they kept asking me, how you doing? How you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm doing good. Smiling and stuff. They was like, wow, you're being a good sport. You're taking this with confidence and all this. I'm like, I don't know. Like, you know when you get so scared and nervous that you feel like you have no choice but to, you know, pretend or just trick yourself that you happy and that you good and all that. That was me. That was literally me. And so they realized that I wasn't dilating as quickly as they thought I would. So they turned off the Pitocin and the oxytocin or whatever. And then they was like, we want to see how you're gonna contract, without the medicine. And they took that medicine off. I slept like a baby, but it was like the next day. Then it was like, yeah, looking at the records or like the little sheets, they was like, you just stopped contracting altogether. And then they started talking to me about having a possible C-section. They was like, maybe you might have to have a C-section and all of that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, so my chances of pushing, it just went down. Then there was like, you've been in labor for a long time. I'm like, fuck. Then there was like, we're gonna come back and let you know if we're really gonna, go through with the C-section or whatever, or if you could still push. Came back like 45 minutes later, and unfortunately, I had to get a C-section. They was like, you gotta get the epidural. I'm like, no. Because like me going into like my actual induction, which was gonna be like May 31st or June 6th, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm prepare myself for that. I'm not gonna get no epidural. I'm gonna do it natural. And like I said, I kept having in my mind, like, you're going to do this natural. The contractions, it don't hurt. You can do this. You can do this. You don't want to get the epidural. Because I'm so afraid of needles. And then watching epidural videos, like the injection, I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, I don't want to get that. I don't want to get that, okay? But they was like, because, in order to get the C-section, you got to get the epidural, or you just going to, like, no. Who want to do that without any anesthesia, right? So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, just kill me right now, because I'm like, I'm so just a lot of stuff scares me, especially medical stuff. Hold on, my baby's woke. Okay, here's my little chunky baby. Say hey. Say hey, everybody. She just woke up. She's so cute. And she's so mean. Okay. I'm 60 here. Oh, you guys can't see her. Okay, I'll just hold it for the rest of the video. What's the matter? Huh? She might be hungry. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so the C-section, they gave me an epidural or whatever. I was so scared. I'm like, oh my God, this big ass needle finna go in my back. I'm like, no. But the nurse is like, just bend over, just hold me. I'm like, nurse, I'm so scared. She was like, just bend over, just hold me. Just close your eyes and just breathe. But turns out, y'all, that epidural was nothing. I was scared for nothing. That was the easiest thing. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, it's not even that scary. I was so happy. I'm like, yes, I did it, yeah. And mind you, my husband wasn't there for most of the stuff that I went through in a hospital, because he was moving our stuff out of our apartment, putting in storage. What else he was doing? Oh, and then yeah, so he basically wasn't there. I was there by myself. So next, but he was there for the C-section and all that. He was there for that. He was there. He made sure he was there. I text him, I'm like, oh my God, they give me a C-section. Hurry back. Hurry back. So, of course, he came racing back. He was so excited. I'm like, and by that point, I was so through with everything. I'm like, go ahead and do what y'all need to do, because I don't got time to be waiting and all that. And let me tell you about the C-section part. So, they put me on the table or whatever, and they asked me my name and all that, just to see, like, was I in shock? I don't know why they asked me, I forgot, but you know, I answered it for him. I'm like, you know, told him my name, Kaylin, whatever. And they was like, okay, can you feel this? I have this little stick. I'm gonna rub it down your, you know, your stomach, your thigh, or whatever. Tell me if you can feel it. I'm like, well, I think I can feel it a little bit. I don't know. And then I was wiggling my toes. I'm like, oh, snaps, I can still wiggle my toes. Because I thought, like, when they give you the epidural, you're supposed to be numb and or, like, close to paralyzed so you can't really move or nothing. So I'm like, dang, I can still move my toes. This stuff finna hurt. Like, I was just, but that's what I was thinking in my head, though. I wasn't saying it, like, out loud. It was just, like, in my head. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, I don't know. Then it was like, I'm gonna ask you again. Can you feel this? I'm like, no. And by that time, okay, by that time, my husband, he was like on the side of me or whatever. And I'm like, no, I can't feel it. But he was sitting down, so he couldn't see over the blue curtain. So I'm like, I'm like, I don't know if I can feel it. I'm like, I'm gonna say no. Then he was like, okay, well, here's your baby. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? I'm like, that's my baby. And then my husband, he stood up and got her like, oh. Then I was crying. They tricked me. Because I'm thinking that's so shouldn't hurt. He was like, okay, here's your baby. I'm like, whoa. My baby. The only thing I saw was this. Her chin. And then she was like in the blanket. Because, you know, he was standing up. He ain't even bent her down like, oh, look at your baby. Look at your baby. He was too thirsty. He just had it to himself. And then they clipped her umbilical cord or whatever. I'm gonna insert pictures for you. I'm gonna insert pictures. They did all that, and then they took her to the NICU because she was born 36-6. She was a day away from being, I guess, full term as they consider it to be. So, yeah. And what? What? She is looking at me. She like when I talk. So yeah, what was I keep forgetting. You making me forget. You making me forget. You make me forget. So yeah, that's the only thing I got to see. They didn't even put her on me. We didn't do skin to skin. We didn't do none of that. They just took her straight over, you know, whatever, fixed her up, and then they took her straight down to the NICU. And I didn't see her until the next day. But I don't even remember. Like, I wasn't even, like, anxious or, you know, nothing like that because I was so, like, they took me to that recovery room. I was knocked out. As soon as they got done with the C-section, whatever. And let me tell y'all, when they was doing the C-section, I ain't feel nothing. I ain't feel like, oh, my stomach feel like a relief. I ain't feel none of that. I didn't even know the baby was out. Like, I'm like, they numbed me up good. I don't know. And then I was, like, still mobile because the doctors was like, they was trying to like switch me back to the bed to take me like the rollaway bed, I guess, from the table to like the bed to take me to the recovery room. And then they was like low key struggling to like lift me up for some reason. Then it was like, I'm like, oh, I can do it myself. Then it was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I can lift myself up. See? Then I was like lifting myself up. They was looking at me like, how's you able to do that? I'm like, yeah. They was like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel fine. And then I literally like lifted myself up and scooted over to the bed, and it was like, okay. And then I went to a recovery room. It was like it reminded me of a basement. I don't know. It was like kind of scary. It just had like the separations was like the little pulley sheets or covers, and then I was just there for like I think 2 or 3 hours. I don't know how long I was down there, but I'm like, I'm ready to go upstairs, see my baby. And then, but I didn't get to see her till like literally later that day. No, the next day because I had her at 6:23, and then I made it back to my room probably like at 8 or 9 o'clock, and then I didn't see her till the next day. I had to see her on FaceTime. All right, FaceTime. I'm like, oh no, but I didn't care because I was just so. I wasn't out of it, but I was just so relieved. Like, yeah, shit over with. I'm Gucci. So yeah, I was happy. And then, yeah. Then I got to see her. I was like so happy. She was so small. She weighed 5 pounds 8 ounces, and I think she was like, I think 16 inches. I don't know for sure. I forget the inches, but somewhere around there. She was so little. I'm talking about back and butt. Hey. Her back and her butt was like kind of like in my hand almost. Well, not really, not necessarily, but you know, when holding her, it's like my hand was covering up most of her back, leading onto her butt. It was so cute. She was so cute. She was so little. I'm like, I can't believe this. I was just like, wow, this baby was in my belly. In my belly, a whole human. It was so cute. And then, yeah, that's my labor and delivery story. Like, it was so crazy. And let me just mention one more thing. Like, when I was having those contractions, like I said, the pain level, some of them hurt it. And I'm not gonna lie, some of them was stronger than others, but for the most part, the pain level was like a 3, 4, 5. It came, some was a 3, some was a 4, some was a 5. So the ones that was a 5, I had to have my husband. I'm like, please just count, just count, just count. He was counting. I'm like, whew. I'm like, okay. And then they do last for a whole minute. I thought that was like a myth, but they do last for like a whole minute. I'm like, and it's like, let me show you. It starts to come on, like, and then it just get like, and then it stay there, right? And then it comes down. And you're like, oh shit. Cause my contractions went from a minute apart to, and then it kept jumping. It was so weird. It went from a minute apart to 2 minutes apart to 3 minutes apart, back to a minute apart, 3 minutes apart, back to a minute apart, 2 minutes apart. So it was like weird. That medicine was like, just, I guess my body wasn't working with it, I guess. But yeah, that's my labor and delivery story. So you guys just tell me what else y'all want to know. But the most painful part, it wasn't even the contractions. The contractions, the last thing that was painful. The most painful part to me is when they was checking me. Like, I'm talking about men was checking me, females. You know, men got them fat, big fingers. I can't, please. I got so scared, man. Yeah, we're gonna check you. I'm like, no. Let me know if I'm hurting. Let me know if you want me to stop. I'm like, stop. Don't even begin to do it because I can't take that shit. Like, worst pain. Ugh. I felt like somebody had their whole elbow up, and I'm like, what? No. And then my midwife, oh, don't forget about her. She was there for like a day, well, the second day that I was in labor, right? And then when it was time for my C-section, I'm like, oh, is my midwife here? They was like, no, she don't work on Thursdays. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be here for the whole time, but she don't work on Thursdays. I'm like, okay, that's fine.